Hello, I'm Gareth Davis, and finally had some parts arrive that I've been waiting for. There's my gear linkage. The bar's a lot shorter than the one on there and thicker, so that explains why I couldn't change down from third to second. So I took the bike out, had a shakedown after rebuilding it, and it wasn't perfect. It had a pinch in the inner tube for the rear tyre, so I had to get a puncture repair kit. The rear brake pedal was too far down when it was pressed on hard, so I've got to adjust that when I fix the rear puncture. The gear change linkage wasn't changing from third to second, and it had a false neutral at one point. The speedo wasn't displaying any speed, so I didn't have a clue how fast I was going. It did feel like it was doing more than 30 on the flat and downhill, but when we got to the hills I had to change down to first. It was so slow on uphills, but it's hard to tell without a speedo. I've grabbed a speedo for a MASH 50. I've got to check the indicators, but I believe that's me pressing the cancel rather than not knowing how to operate them properly, so that's a good thing. I also had still an oil leak above the little sprocket, so I'm going to take out a bolt, not on the starter this time, but next to the starter, and fill that with Permatex and put it back in. Hopefully that'll stop that. I need to tighten the mirrors. I've put a new number plate on, but it's the number plate stickers weren't very good, and they've not stuck properly. The kickstand sensor that I rewired and connected up, I did it the wrong way. So put the stand down and the bike would run, kickstand up and the bike would stop. And I want to put some cable ties on the side covers, so if they come loose, they'll only hang on a cable tie, and then the bike should be ready for an MOT. Right, let's go and do some work. So this is a gear linkage. This is much longer than this one. There's a circlip here, takes that off, and 10mm here. I'm going to take the bolt all the way out because it goes through a dip which holds it onto the spline. Right, the front of a clip. I suppose I could try and find circuit pliers, but from the feel of it, I reckon it's I might need circuit pliers after all. that I could do with another one, to be honest. There we are. I didn't lose it at least. Oh, great. My foot peg blocks me taking that off. So, foot peg will have to come off. Just 2 bolts here. 17 or something. Right, I'll get a socket. I forgot. There are sockets somewhere. I thought. Spanners. I wonder where them sockets are. Maybe I did do 2 drawers of spanners. Yeah, that's fine. That's kind of awkward. Have I got to adjust the knuckle? A smaller 17 as well. Can I get this? That is awkward. Where's my... Looking for my 3/8 socket set. Interesting. Just gonna step over and see if I can find my 3/8 socket. What have I done with that? I wonder where my little Hilker 3/8 socket set disappeared to. It's not long since I set my tool drawers up, so they shouldn't be anywhere. Luckily I got that 17 and that was much better at getting in these than even the socket. That's out of the way. Comparison for you. As you see, it's a good couple of inches shorter, and they're quite different. So hopefully this will be alright. Now, according to this, it should be the same height as the foot peg. Oh, which way? Does that look flat? Well, that's pretty flat to me, to be honest. I know, I'll put a socket on there. It'll fall off. Where's the smaller socket? Right, so it's a bit that way. But the bike is up in the air at the front because I've got it on the step. That's that way, I think. And that'll be perfect. Oh, I haven't taken the bolt out, so it's not sliding on. Just check that. I'll go a bit downward. So I think we want to go a little bit more up. little bit more. That's a bit higher that way, but the bike's tilted up, so we'll go with that. I mean, tilted up, the front wheel is 3-4 inches up in the air. That's the frame and engine standing on the step. Oh, interesting. The spline is fairly loose, to be honest. Tighten that clamp up. It's got a fair gap inside, so I guess it'll tighten up nice. I wonder if I can fit this big socket in there. Oh, it's not bad. Ah, yes. That feels tight. That is tight. Right, so the circlip was there, and now it's missing somehow. Love watching the video to see what I did with that circlip. There it is. There we are. So, where's the bolt of this? Right, that one's awkward. So that's a little bit higher here, but the bike's up in the air, so when that's down that should be fine. Next job is the speed sensor for the speedometer. So we'll get you into a position, which I guess that'll be fine. So the speed sensor is located here, so I have to drop the front wheel off and unplug it from behind the headlight. That's obviously had somebody working on it, so I'm going to take it out for a test ride now. When it's nice and hot, I'll try giving the carburetor an adjust again, because after a ride last time, the bike was ticking over. Obviously it was a high idle. At least she was ticking over. So I'll get her nice and hot again and try again. So I'll use that one. It's a 17 again and a 14 on the nut side. Try not to tip the bike over. Oh, she doesn't like wobbling, does she? I think she's going to go. I wonder why she's going now. She felt pretty stable before. .17 mil nut and a washer. I'm just spinning the spindle from the nut side, which is There we are. Right. I think it's pretty much the same by the looks of it. The only thing I can see different is there's no rubber cap on there. Right, I'll go grab the new sensor. In comparison of the two, very much the same. Roll play, that feels solid. Let's could do with a bit of grease on the spindle, I guess. Can you go and lie down, Elvis? I don't want you knocking the bike, it's not very stable. Thanks. I wonder where that tray of grease is. I just put some grease on so she's nice and lubed. Fortunately my finger's a bit ucky. Actually, I need a cloth. Oh, that was an old pair of pants. As if it wasn't, I've just greased them. Oops, I'll put that in just yet. I'm just trying to work out if the caliper has any trouble. Oh, right, so there's a insert this side. Like a heavy gauge bit of tube pipe between the disc and the fork. Right, let's get this into place just in case we can't. I wonder if I can pull that back a bit. Oh, not too much. Just enough to get that in. Lift that back up. Make sure that tube's in place. There we are. That feels like the axle's gone through. There we are. the washer on. And then that. That'll have to go up there. But we'll have to cut these cable ties and dismount the front. Took the cable up round the fork onto the mudguard and hang it back round. Now I guess we've got to tighten it, which will be quite a problem, I guess. Trying to hold the bike and fasten. Nearly went there. What's to fall over? I'll have to check that once put the rubber cap back on, and we'll change some angle. I'm going to move you because we've got the light behind that. And that isn't very good. So, well, I run out of storage and had to go and transfer it to the computer. In the meantime, whilst I was doing that with the computer, the bike fell off the step and bent the gear linkage, which really amusing since it's just brand new. So basically we've got to cut off the cable ties. One more up here. And that goes into the back of the headlight unit. Well, we got some, looks like Allen keys or Torx. So we'll see if anything like this fits. Right, fitted that one. And that one. Oops. Where that went. Just lifts up a little bit. I can lift it down. That's where that went. That's one side. So the sensor cable coming in there. And that's the plug. Well, it matches anyway. The colours on the wire. What I wanted to check . There's the old one off. I want to check the loom from here, from the speedo, which will be this cluster, which is where that plugs into. So that is the right plug, I guess. What's the new colours? Oh. So we have the same plug, but different colours. I guess I'll have to do a pin transfer, because this is not supposed to work. So this sensor matches the colouring on the loom, but it seems to have a black, red and a yellow, and a white, green and pink, and I'm not sure which way it's going to be. So now I'm wondering, that fits like that. change red for pink, yellow for green, and black for yellow. I presume. It's hard to know. I think this is going to be one of them puzzles of which way it's supposed to be wired up. Now I'm wondering how to find a pin and do. I'm going to come back to this. I'm not going to do it on camera because it'll probably bore you quite a lot. It'll take me a while to unpin them and oh, maybe I should just cut the wire and solder them across. I'll try to have a look to see if this is has anything happened to. So this one's got some heat shrink on. B there, A there, so that looks like it's a fit. Yeah, I guess cut the wire and solder rather than pin. Well, I think that'd be better. I'll pass it through. It doesn't drop. Let's catch you on that. I don't want it down there. I don't want it to catch the frame stock. Put it over there, that's something solid. I've just got to get it to dropping like that. Right, I'll be back with you. What are we looking at here? Oh, we have got a vision of it. Just cut the end off because the bits inside would be the wrong, they'd be, well, this one's the male parts and I need the female parts. So I'm just pulling the sheath back as far as I could get it because it compresses because it's corrugated, and then I'll give it the snip. I thought I'd give it a bit extra wire, just so it's got the distance to come down to the So I've just cut and soldered the wires, put some Sealy heat shrink with glue on. All I did was plug the two offcuts together. So red was pink, yellow was green, and black was sing. Did the same on the loom, so it goes red to red, yellow to yellow, black to black. I'm going to unplug this, route it up the correct route. that together. So now we just got to, if anybody has any of these rubber that go over the metal shaft, I need one of them. Not sure where I can just grab a bit of rubber. I suppose a bit of rubber hose would do the job. Oh yes, I'm going to get all this back into the headstock. It's quite a tight place. I don't want that in. Looking that nothing's getting in the way of each other. Oh, that's getting in the way again. Typical. There. Screw the driver. Oh, that's annoying. Loosen that off a bit so that can line up. Like that. That's the one. Oh. The trouble is, I've got my camera stand on the bike, so it's quite difficult to get the screw in the hole. All solid. Cable ties now. Shut the soldering line off for now. We'll still need it for the kickstand. Change the wiring on that. Cable ties, cable ties. Two. There's another one. And a new speed sensor on it. With the try and move this step. Can't use this step for moving the bike anyway. I want to move it over. See if the wheel still turns. And it does. Right. Don't know why feeler gauges have come out. Make that out of the way. That. The bike back over. Turn the steering. With that old cable tie. Right. I think that's for tonight. I think we can good, bit tight space here. Get on with the, I don't know if you can see in this light, how the kickstand bent when it fell over. So to give that a good few whacks with a hammer to get it back roughly in position. Anyway, tomorrow we'll get on with the puncher and the kickstand sensor. That was proper funny. I'm going to make a short video of you just going rum, rum, rum.